Hello, everybody. Hope everybody is all right. Checking out if everything's okay. Everything's all right here and here. Thank you for the sound man audio check. Okay. So, got a pretty good signal here from the Voice of America on 15580 in English. So, everything looks good. I've got everything running here. So that's good. Let's just put one radio that I can actually share the audio. It's always nice to have a radio that you share audio if need to be. Let's put this here. This here. Let's put this down. Okay, so like that, we're ready for something if something happens. And so, hey, we're ready. 15770. This is WRMI. And here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome aboard to the Shortwave show. Special Sunday edition because of the Shortwave Festival. We're going to talk about it a little bit because it's one of the great events. There were quite a few of my viewers that were actually at the event also. Was also very nice to put a face on some of you that I'd never seen before. So the Shortwave Festival was really, really a big hit once again for its third year in virtual. So welcome. My name is Gilles. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, northeast part of North America. This is the show that talks about radio, pretty much. It's a shortwave show, a radio show in a bigger scale, if you want, because it's not just about shortwave. Sometimes we talk about medium wave and long wave and other aspects of the hobby. So everything radio, and you're welcome. From the newcomer to the hobby to the expert that's been here for or been listening or been a ham for 50 years, everybody's welcome. Everybody's on the same level here. And this is what's important, that we all respect each other. And I think we're doing a good job at that. And but it's nice to see that there's new people, new blood in the hobby. If you wish to have new people, well, we have new people here. And that's cool because the average age of the hobby is up there. But to see that in 2023, somebody that's 20 years old is interested in getting into the radio hobby and listening to international broadcasts or utility stations and stuff like that is pretty cool. So it's really, really nice to see everybody here. There's a chat room if you wish to share with others and have fun with others. Well, the chat room is a great place to hang out while the live show's happening. And of course, you'll get a shout out. So I'll say hi to you at the same time. And if you ask, have questions to ask, things like that, that's the place. And of course, after all of this is over, you end up with the Facebook group where we have more than 3,000 members. And that's where it continues. It's a pretty active group, people sharing what they're listening to. And even I share what I'm listening to. Try to get one of the things that I try to do is when I have time and listen, is to post as much as what I'm listening to the Facebook group because it will often um, have others join in and say, "Hey, thanks to you, I'm now listening to this or that." And sometimes people are just like, "Oh, I didn't know that there was a broadcast in English for this or that station," and it kind of helps define what we can listen on the radio. Yes, shortwave has changed over the last 30, 20, 30 years, and but it's not dead, and there's still a lot of stuff, especially if you like to diversify your listening, not just focus on international broadcasts, but focus on a lot of other things, including utility signals. There's plenty out there to listen to. So, welcome aboard, everyone. And I am a little tired. You know what? The Shortwave Fest, being virtual, is still a event that is after a full day, I can just think of Sheldon Harvey, which operated the hospitality suite all day, and almost didn't give himself a little bit of time. It's just how tired he must be of just talking and having something to say. And I think about it here when I did a 3 hour show and having something to say all the time. And he had to do it from 8 a.m. until, well, it ended. The hospitality suite shut down. It was somewhere like 2 in the morning, past 2 in the morning, local time here. So that was something. So there's a lot of fun in there, and I actually activated the special event station. I was pleased to see that someone had posted his reception of my signal on his little XH Data D808 on the 12-meter band. So it was kind of cool to hear myself while I was calling CQ. Made a total of something like 68 contacts or 78 contacts, which was nice. The majority of them in single sideband voice, a very small portion in FT8. Most of it was single sideband voice, which was fun. You know, I it gave me while I was doing it, actually gave me the idea that I should actually go on a band and call CQ much more often than I actually do. I tend to answer DX calls a lot or try to chase DX, but it's easy to forget that you can just sit down and call CQ on a band and be patient, and somebody will be there. Um, Somebody will be there and just answer you at some point. But you got to be patient sometimes. I hear people calling CQ sometimes, and they after 3 or 4 minutes, it's like they just stop. Um, yes, you can get a call in less than a minute sometimes, but sometimes on a band it can take. You have to have the chance of somebody tuning by or passing by the bands while you're calling CQ. So you got to give that chance, and sometimes you have to do it for 5, 10, 15 minutes. But every time I call CQ, even on a personal level, I've always been rewarded with at least some station, at least one station call, answering back. Um, Unless the band is really dead, it doesn't happen often. You call CQ, and at at some point, no one's, there's not going to be an answer. So if you're a ham radio operator and you're a little No, there's a lot of people that are mad at FT8, which shouldn't be the case because FT8 is its own thing. And you gotta be happy that there are these advancements in technology, which FT8 is part of. It's part of amateur radio. But if you are the one complaining no one's on your voice SSB, maybe one of the complaints should be directed at you. What do you do to actually make voice SSB a thing? If you tell me, well, there's nobody else, so I never go on and call CQ, then you're just participating in the nobody's there. You gotta go on a band and call CQ. You gotta do it, and you gotta do it more than 2 minutes and say, "Oh, what the hell with it? Nobody's there." It doesn't work like that. Um, you know, I always say it. Instead of complaining about amateur radio doing this, doing that, being this, being that, kick your butt and do something about it. Complaining does not help in any way in our hobby. Um, Complaining does not help. When I see people, there's nothing on. That's the kind of negative thing I hate to see because there's stuff on, and a lot of it, once again, the impression of nothing's on is often due to, and in a lot of cases, to the noise level we have around us. That is often the problem. The noise level will block out the weaker signals that are there. And I say it all the time: go to a park, go to a low noise environment, and you're going to suddenly see that your radio is alive with signals and easy to listen to signals. A station doesn't have to be full scale on the radio's S meter to be easy to listen to. And when you go to a low noise environment, you'll notice that you might be listening to the BBC with a very average signal, but there's no noise. There's just the bass noise that the band has, and you notice that just a weak signal can actually be super easy to understand and listen to the programs. And I think there's part of that we missed from the 80s or the 70s, where we thought there's a lot of signals. There was a lot of signals, but how many times did you listen to a signal that wasn't that strong but was just strong enough for easy listening? Well, that's the kind of signal that we have a lot of today. It's just that the noise level is so high, it's washed out there. So if you're at home listening, you miss out on tons of little things that are really interesting. Um, we hear about, well, there's no content because we don't hear a lot of stations anymore. I bet you that if you go in a place where there's no noise, there's a lot of content. If I go to the park here, just 5 minutes from here, I can bet you that if I want content, I'll be listening a whole afternoon to different broadcasts with interesting content because there is content. But unfortunately, that's the big problem. The noise floor is high, and it's the major issue of our own. It's the major issue of our own hobby, and that's the thing. I'll say it again and again. Anybody telling you, well, the internet killed shortwave? No, the noise kills shortwave. The internet is actually a tool that is so useful. I love having the internet and shortwave together. It's easy to see what you're listening to at any time of day. It's easy to have resources of any types of signals that you're interested in. I mean, there's a lot of things out there and that are interesting. So, internet is actually helping our hobby, not killing it. I say that all the time. When the station leaves, nobody goes to listen to it on the internet. Does anybody go listen to Radio Canada International? They're on the internet. They still have some broadcast there. Nobody mentioned Radio Canada International pretty much except in the past tense once it left. Tells you once again, nobody goes on the internet to listen to those broadcasts. Shortwave is this unique thing. And once you decide to remove your signal from it, you lost that audience that you had also. So nice to have everybody here. I'm going to say hello to everyone. We're going to talk about the Shortwave Fest a little bit also. K6SUD, nice to have you here. Matt, MD2, nice to have you. MDK2, nice to have you here. And it was really cool to have you at the Winterfest yesterday, and also contact in on the special event station. Nice to have you here, Matt, and have a good day and a good week, and stay safe. See you possibly next Saturday. Bobby Burgess, WA5107 SWL, Morgan City, Louisiana. Nice to have you here. Master Players Radio and Television Plus Gaming. It's nice to see you yesterday at the Winterfest. Danny Shortwave, Radio DX. Nice to have you here from Yonkers, New York. Rob, nice to have you on board from Phoenix, Arizona. Robbie Strike, nice to have you here. We have KW1161, nice to have you on board from Tucson, Arizona. We have what else do we have? What else do we have? Gunslinger One and Radio DX. Okay. John Hubble Newell, nice to have you here. VE5JHN, nice to have you on board. For sure. We have RJDA Dakota, nice to have you on board from Winsville, Missouri. We have WFJ59, nice to have you here from Mid-Michigan. Salut TVDXer, ça va bien, j'espère que tu vas bien toi aussi. Jet Crafter, nice to have you on board from Southern Maine. They got the snow. Yep. I had to go shovel yesterday later in the event. I went outside. Actually, I went out because I was seeing. Funniest thing is about when you have a Zoom event and there's tons of people there, you have people that are munching on stuff. And I was seeing a couple of guys munching on chips and stuff, and it was like at one point in the afternoon, I was like, "Oh man, I'm craving for some, potato chips or something." So I went out to go and get a couple of bags of potato chips, and ended up shoveling also at the same time because a lot of snow actually fell yesterday. Paul Steckler, nice to have you on board from Crazy Weather, California. What else do we have? DJW883, nice to have you here from Southeast Pennsylvania. J Projects, nice to have you here. Ricky, salut. Ça va bien? Hope you are well, my friend. It was nice to see you yesterday at the Winterfest event. Mr. C's Garage, nice to have you on board. We have Greg Scher, nice to have you on board from Southern Illinois. Rob, the sound guy, it's always nice to have you here. Michael, nice to have you on board. Thank you for being the second sound check guy. Nice to have you here. We have Peter, nice to have you here. KB2DY, nice to have you on board, Pete. Simon Borg, nice to have you on board. We have Mickey Dalmage. Hello, stranger. Nice to have you here. Name rings a bell. I don't know why. It's nice to have you here. It's nice to share the hospitality room and also make the contacts on the special event. It was kind of cool. Simon Templar, nice to have you on board, my friend. We have Paul Steckler. Didn't have a camera on the Shortwave Fest. I have a face for radio. That's pretty much all of us. Simon Templar, Icon, Kenwood, Yaesu are all good. I have an Icon 7300 and a Yaesu FTDX10. Do you have a preference? Out of curiosity, since you have both, if you would have a choice, Simon, between the Icom 7300 or the Yaesu FTDX10, which one would you choose as your only transceiver between the two of them? Is there one that I like that one better? Out of curiosity, I know that they're both good, and I know that the Icom 7300 is a very popular radio because price point versus performance, and what you get is great. Francis Moore, nice to have you on board from Birmingham, UK. I'm on the edge. Well, welcome aboard as a newbie. You are welcome. And if you have any questions, anything, feel free to ask. You are at the right place. Um, he says he needs to do something for better antenna. Not hearing much. Yeah, and a lot of it has probably to do with the fact that you might have a lot of noise around you. Like I was saying, noise is a killer of our shortwave hobby. Jay Watterson 69, nice to have you here. Mr. C's garage, cold, wet, and gloomy today in the Central Valley, California. Here it's almost a spring-like day. It's 5 Celsius, which means it's about close to 40 Fahrenheit. And the snow that we had yesterday, which was almost, we got a good more than half a feet of snow, is actually melting at fast pace, actually. Um, KWN's 1161, great program. Even heard your ham QSO. That is cool. That is cool. Dennis, nice to have you on board. Says, thank you for the special event stations for the Shortwave Fest. Let's make it a normal component for the fest. K2DCD. Well, I think it will be starting from now. We're going to talk about that and a little more in a moment here. Jason, VE9JMC. Nice to have you here. Patience is key in radio. Definitely. If you're patient, even if it takes a long time, they'll be rewarded with some interesting stations coming back and interesting things in general. I think a lot of people have don't realize how you just can't go out, and it's true not just for ham radio. It's true for radio listening in general. Be patient. You'll be rewarded with some great stuff if you take the time to do it. And it's important. Dennis, yes, Sheldon was Herculean with his fortitude. Oh yeah, it was there from 8 a.m. There's the me and Mickey Dalmage were co-hosts, and Mickey did a lot too. But Sheldon is like crazy. You almost feel like saying to Sheldon, why don't you take some time off a little bit more? You know, um, but that's Sheldon. Sheldon is, when he's in something, and that's it. He's 100% in. Seven Templar summer. This summer, my family and I are going possibly to go to Zion National Park. So I am going to activate the park on 20 meters QRP. Cool. That's going to be cool. Harold Anderson, nice to have you here. I'll be 1NH in Oslo, Norway. Pretty cool to have you here. Francis Morris says, Gilles, did you have a lot of Aurora Northern Lights in Canada last week? And how did it affect shortwave? So there was a lot of pictures that I've seen, especially from the Western Canadian provinces like Alberta. I've seen a lot of pictures people posted on different forums with auroras that were visible. Here in Montreal, it was cloudy all week. We've been really, really cloudy a lot in the last month or so. The days where we could actually see the sky in Montreal has been we can count them on fingers of one hand in the last month. So here was not possible. As for shortwave, it's very interesting because when you have a waterfall, and when you do, for example, when you do FT8 and you see all the signals on the band, or if you have an SDR and you're looking at a full shortwave band or full amateur band, it's extremely interesting what you see, because when solar flares happen, when geomagnetic storms happen, when conditions change rapidly, you see it. You see the waterfall change in real time as to, all the effects that it has on the signals, which ones are disappearing, some are getting stronger. The shift in where you're actually listening to signals from definitely had a lot of effect and interesting effects there. There was even one, and I tried, but I couldn't. When there was the geomagnetic storm the other night, there was some aurora effect on 6 meters. And on 6 meters FT8, there was a station in Iqaluit, Nunavut, just in up north in Canada, that was actually making contacts with some U.S. stations. And I put my radio on 6 meters and I monitored. I got a couple of the US stations that I could hear, but I could not get that Iqaluit station. It would have been just so cool to do a contact FT8, 6 meters, with auroral conditions. Would have been great. Sal Domino, nice to have you on board. KM4PPV in Kentucky. Adam Lozo, nice to have you on board. Thrilled that I am hearing you live for the first time. Nice to have you here, my friend. Pretty cool. We have, let me just go back down here, go back up here. And here we go. Just find where I was. Lost my space. And here we go. So here we go. Salamino says it's pleasure at times to listen to WebSDR for broadcast. Yeah, when it's too noisy, it's one of the the things that you could do. Listen to your favorite. There's a lot of content. If you use online SDRs, the QSDRs for different stations around the world, you're going to have content, and a lot of content. And that's what's sad, because a lot of these signals actually make it. Not all of them, but a lot of these make it here. But our noise is washing it out, unfortunately. Dennis, a great point about the noise level today versus 50 years. Oh, yeah, it's crazy. Bob D, nice to have you here from Ottawa. Harold Anderson, we have a good propagation nowadays, and I have listened on many shortwave radio stations. Also have had a long distance contact with on the ham bands. My pride and my little proud moment I have right now is that on, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday night, I was able to make a voice SSB contact on 20 meters with JT1CO. The guy is in Mongolia. It's like when I heard Mongolia on 20, it was like I just jumped in. It took me half an hour. We talk about patience. Took me 30, 35 minutes of calling back every time he was listening to have him come back and say, VE2, Victor Echo 2 station. And then I came back and he heard me, and it was just great. Sometimes it's easy to, maybe kind of lower ourselves in or to feel that we're not, our station isn't good enough to be part of the big gun DX. And I hear that a lot. And yes, there's tons of guys out there with their kilowatt stations, and but I often say power is overrated, because most pileups, when you hear the station with 100 watts, you're going to be able to contact. But sometimes you got to be patient, because you're in that You know, if you've ever heard a pileup, sometimes it's crazy the amount of stations at the same time they're calling. You got to be out there, and it's sometimes takes time. It took me about 30, 35 minutes of calling back. I was at 30 minutes. I was starting to think that maybe he doesn't hear me. Maybe he doesn't hear me yet. Half an hour before I did a little bit of FT8 on 20 meters, and I could see that my signal was going to Japan, was going to Asiatic Russia, and so on. So I thought, I can't abandon his signal's too good. It's impossible he's not hearing me. And I continued, and 5 minutes later, he called back. And that shows you 35 minutes, but the reward of having an official contact with a station in Mongolia, voice 20 meters, is so rewarding. It's amazing. It's just amazing. And I'm happy because it's much more exciting for me to have done it in SSB voice than FT8. It would have been cool in FT8 to have Mongolia, but it's much more interesting for me, particularly, to have it in voice, and it's just great. What else do we have? Salimino, I do Radio Romania International on the internet. Yeah, but what I'm talking about is not that. What I'm talking about is when station leaves shortwave, the majority of people do not. You might. I mean, it's not zero. There are a number of people that will or might listen to an online, station, if they keep an online presence. Because most of the time, when a station goes, it leaves. It also removes its online presence. Um, but the majority of people don't do that. Ron Jr., nice to have you on board. Dennis says not only lost audiences, but a voice on the world stage. Definitely. Sheldon Harvey, the hero of the shortwave, the shortwave, the hospitality suite, being there all the time. Nice to have you here, Sheldon. Peter Rudnick, nice to have you here. BDXC 2262 from the Netherlands. Nice to have you here. Scott KC2C80, nice to have you on board. TV Dostoevsky, nice to have you here. Sunday show, yeah, Sunday show, because yesterday was the Shortwave Festival all day, and was part of. So, two things: not to make a competition in a way. Also, some people here were registered to be at a Shortwave Fest, so not to have to split yourself between what do I do? Do I go to Gilles' show or I stay in the Shortwave Festival? I pushed the show on Sunday, and also for me it was better because it let me be there throughout the event also. So that's why we have a Sunday show. Neil Rigby, nice to have you here from UK. Laurette Netani, nice to have you here. Bonjour et bienvenue. J'espère que ça va bien. Tom Dennison, nice to have you here from Ottawa. Simon says, I came really close to selling the 7300. Didn't want to. And things work where I got to keep both. 73's serial number is 007. Aha, that's why you kept it. That's why you kept it. It's the James Bond radio. So Simon says, still use the 7300, but I find this FTDX10 is my go-to radio. I'm sure that in performance level and everything, there probably isn't much difference between both. Arnie Diesel, nice to have you on board from Norway, LA8MGA. It's -8 in Narvik. Nice to have you on board from Norway. Carl Icon, cheers. Nice to have you on board. Says anybody else losing Kiwi web SDRs? There were 6 in New York. Now there's only 1. You know what, Carl? That could happen. I've noticed that there are some going off because they are becoming paid SDRs. I've noticed that there's a few SDRs that they are off the map. They still exist. It's mostly that they've put the Kiwi SDR for only the paid members. So you can still use it, but you have to pay for it. I've noticed that there's a few like that now, which I find it's I mean, I get that it's a cost in a way for the user, for the ones putting it online, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. Seamus A. Noise floor is tremendous compared to decades past. Yes, cannot hear many stations, and the noise has a lot to do with it. Robert Varner, nice to have you here. Rob's radio channel, nice to have you here. Anthony France, nice to have you here from Florida. No problem. Family goes first. Salamino, awesome about the Parks on the Air. Robert Cross, hope everyone is keeping well. We have Joe Walker. Have you tried the R30 with an external antenna via the 3.5 millimeter jack? Been using it and it seems to work great. Also have upgraded the antenna to well, I use the R30 on the MLA30 using that the SMA connector. And it works. It works, definitely works for shortwave. So no, Robert Cross, I haven't changed from Saturday to Sunday. It's just that yesterday was the Shortwave Festival, which was really, really cool. And a lot of you missed an amazing, amazing event yesterday. If you weren't there, you missed out on something that is really, 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 really cool. I hope that next year you guys get in there. And what do we have? So I'm gonna catch up. Here we go. Tarek, nice to have you here from Cairo, Egypt. And I'm gonna check that out. I've got my tablet here. Let's check out the picture. And let's see the oh yeah, we're going to talk about that. There's something coming up that was about to start. Is our friend Simon Templar's setup? Not bad, eh? I don't know why. I think he's a fan of Star Wars, but I don't know. Might be just a hunch. So, yeah, 26th March. Not April, March. So Sheldon, March 26th. If it's all right, we're going to announce it now. So if it's okay with you, not April, March, because you had until early April, I believe, for the extension of Zoom. So let me just let me know if it's all right with you for Sunday, March the 26th, and we'll announce it here for the event. What else do we have? Yeah, thank you for the congrats on Mongolia. It's not a country we hear very often on the bands. I can tell you that. I'm on the edge. I think I'm gonna try the MLE 30 plus loop antenna I'm just received and listening from the shadows for now. I think if it's noise that's your main problem, the MLE 30 is gonna help you out there definitely. Francis, more fascinating gel. The aurora was visible even further south than Birmingham, UK, but we also had clouds. Seen some brilliant images from friends who live in Moray, Scotland. Jason V9JMC, I feel more pride running only 100 watts and a homemade antenna than I would be running a kilowatt in Yagi's. Yeah. My biggest problem, and it was obvious yesterday with the special event station. You know what? What I understand a lot is a lot more since I've been operating. And 100 watts is enough. 100 watts is enough. Um, the running, a kilowatt or running these really high power station. Um, yeah, some go for it, and that's fine. That's fine. But the more I operate, the more I see that 100 watts is enough. Here, anyways, 100 watts is enough because if I put a kilowatt, all the neighbors are going to probably go crazy. So I better stick with 100 watts. And what is also the thing here is that you can easily contact the world with 100 watts. But once again, it goes to our first rule we talked at the beginning of the live show. Simply patience. We got to be patient. Robert Cross bought a drum drive belt for my Greenwich satellite radio. Mount also broken as well inside the radio. Wow. Okay. It's a complex thing. That thing to repair is really crazy. Salamino says, "Oh yeah, the pilots are crazy, especially on field day. You have to be patient to make contacts." Yep. Robert Varnes says, "Made my first Japan Jade R3 and ZC contact, 10 meters yesterday. Not bad from New Jersey. Pretty cool." Simon Templar says has noticed a lot of emergency action messages on 11175 and 8992. Robert Wagner says Northeast. These are in Northeast Illinois. Let's have you here. What else Simon Templar, I would have felt like I sold Mr. Bond. All you need is that cat. For he's always there when there's the bad guy. It'll be the bad guy with a cat. Scott KCDC80 says, for polyps, I turned down my power and time replied just after the overload with QRP after my call. Sure does help. Here, I think what helps, because it's when there's a pileup, the majority of stations you hear are often from the United States. And I think a lot of ham stations, when you hear something else than the United States, they often going to jump on that. So I think they're part of the help that I have is that when they hear a VE station, they're like, oh, well, that's something else. Let's focus on that station amid the K and W pileups. So I think maybe there's help there. And, there's little tricks that you get also as you call CQ. Like you say, the guy's going to say, that he's listening. Everybody jumps in immediately. Sometimes you can wait. You wait for that first moment, and then you just jump in a little later. Or, you try to find that spot where, it might be quieter, where maybe your signal is going to really show up. Another station yesterday that I had, which was really cool, 4UN, 4U1, what was it? 4U1N, something like that. He was in, it was a United Nations station in Vienna, Austria. And man, I there was a big pileup. First call. He replied back, Victor Echo Station. I was like, wow, immediately, first call and a big pileup. It's like, wow. So, I think I'm set up for a city guy that can't really put up much outside. I think I'm set up decently. And I think I see it when I do my contacts. It's decent. Jason, VE9 JMC. Some web SDRs are going off as well because there are hams out there that are using them for receive contacts and they cannot hear on the QTH. Um, Don Mom and Dad has the Lamont, Alberta SDRs. He's got 4 of them running. He says that the amount of cheaters that will fake it, they will say that they hear the station and make contact when in reality they're listening through that Kiwi SDR because they don't hear the station at their station. I mean, how cheap shot is that? How, I don't know. I would not be able to live with myself saying I made a contact that I've not even heard. I'm sorry, you haven't made a contact. You didn't hear it. Cheating using an SDR. How dumb can you be? Come on. James Binder, nice to have you here. Paul Steckler, what's your assessment of the D109 so far? I've used the PL380 for years as a travel radio. I might consider the D109 if it's an upgrade. The D109, I can pretty much do a review because I don't think in terms of reception it's going to be the same radio. They fixed the problems that come with it. And I'm going to post more videos coming up. I didn't have enough time in the last couple of days to make some. I'm going to post more videos with this radio. It's a nice radio. But what I'll say is if you use it with an outdoor antenna, this might not be the best radio to get. It overloads easily on an external. My MLA30 on this thing, I hear spurious signals in the background. You see it changes the radio's properties. You hear like little weak whining pterodines and tones and stuff. And of course in a band there's a lot of stations and a few strong ones. You'll hear those stations over whatever you're listening to on an external antenna. So it cannot work well with an external antenna. That's the first thing. You never use an external antenna, it's a good radio. But honestly, if you have a PL380, you're considering this, I would consider instead the RadioWow R108, which in my opinion withstands better getting an outdoor antenna on it. And the RadioWow R108 has the airband if it's something that you feel that you'd like to have, the VHF airband too. I would prefer the RadioWow R108 over this. Personally, I think it would be a better buy than the D109. So that's my take on it. If you would like to add, it's a little more expensive, but if you'd like to add SSB, then go for the PL330 or the XH Data D808. But if you want to keep it, no SSB, you want to keep it no frills, just do the job. I would move from a PL380 to an RadioWow R108, also known as a Siuadon R108. It's better than it's better than this, especially if you use an external antenna and you have the airband, which this one does not have. Also as an extra, which is nice on that. So that would be my take on it. So what else do we have? Greg, I should get the XH Data the 219. Yeah, it's not available. Yeah, I should go on the website. Maybe on the website I'll get it for cheap. I'm gonna check it out. Slim Templar, noticed a Coke bottle bought it and a case back in the early 90s when they re-released the small glass bottles. All were in English except for that unopened one. Oh, okay. I didn't notice at first. Bob, nice to have you here. WA2SQQ from New Jersey. Adam says, I am too new to think of what I'm talking, too lazy to figure out what to listen to. Mark, nice to have you here in Vancouver. Harold Anderson says, had a contact with YH0AS ferry yesterday in Indonesia. He is streaming on YouTube at the same time. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. YB0AR. Okay, cool. One of the stations that's interesting, there's a Taiwan station on FTA that's on 30 meters very often, operating on a boat. He's maritime mobile. What else do we have? Let me just go back here. Just gonna find where I was. Here I am. 32 bits. Nice to have you here from the UK. 100 watts on FTDX10. I think is 25 or 50 on SSB. Do you use the transmit receive switch? So you don't accidentally transmit it to your loop. My loop is in the front yard, and my V end-fed V is in the back. And as for 100 watts, it's not 25 or 50. It's a true 100 watts, 32 bits. What you see on the meter, okay, what you see on the meter when you're talking, because I've been looking a lot at hams that tweak and play around with the FTDX10. What you see on the meter when you're actually transmitting, don't look at that too much. It's not showing you the peak to peak power that you're actually transmitting. The other thing on the FTDX10, you have 100 watts on SSB voice, but what's extremely important is that you have to change the basic settings that it came with. If you don't, it's not the optimal setting. And depending on the frequency of your voice, if you're higher pitched, lower pitched, I've got a lower pitched voice in general. You've got to set it right so that you get the best peaks possible. When I want to know if I'm transmitting enough power, I actually here what I do is I look at how many amps peak my power supply is showing while I'm talking SSB voice. And when I see the peaks reach, 20 amps, I know that, at peaks I am reaching that, or close to that 100 watts. But you need to play with that. As for the rest, I don't need to switch the antennas because my MLE30 is in the front yard and my V end-fed V is in the back. They're far enough that there is an interaction. I see that the receive goes a little deaf, not totally zero. It goes a little deaf because it shows that there's a lot of signals around, but there's no danger of me blowing up the MLE30 or any or my multicoupler when I transmit. Jason, EA3J isn't famous for it. He's doing it when you hear the echo behind him. Andy New, nice to have you here. M7CUN. 7 Templar had the Ziegler G90 buying the IC705 my QRP and portable listening station. Cool. Who knows? Maybe we'll be able to do something QRP. Paul Steckler, yeah, if you don't care for the airband, definitely the D109 would be okay in the situation where you don't use external antennas. Laura Robertson, good evening. Nice to have you here. I3/KO4DFJ. Andy News says my let me just here we go. My new rig will be here in the next couple of days. A Kenwood TS590 SG secondhand. Cool. Lex 2006. Nice to have you here. Bob. Nice to have you here, Bob. VE3UTA from Bruce County. Great talks yesterday on the fest. Thanks to all of you. Cool. So it was a great fest, definitely. Seven Templar, when Halsey got her license, I sent her a FT4X HD, and my crew at work helped me put together a care package for Elsie with our QSL cards and a few other odds at the end. Joe, someone on your house. Nice to have you on board, my friend. What else do we have? Krishan Pradasad. I bought the Texan PL380 recently, a few days ago. All the buttons, including power buttons, stopped working. Only tuner works. Is there a way to fix it? Remove the batteries for 24 hours. Put the batteries back. It's going to come back to life. Be very careful of not creating any static when you use it. If it's a dry environment where you are, when you touch the radio or the antenna, you can zap it. Even if you don't hear the static electricity discharge, that little zapping can just freeze the radio's CPU. Remove the battery and put it back 24 hours later. It's going to be okay. And make sure that you didn't hit that there's no little locked button on the display that you might have locked the radio. But I think if it's locked, you can't really use a tuning button. So you probably work locked. If it's not locked, you probably zapped it with the with electric static. Electricity. It's a common thing of every type of portable radio. You got to be careful sometimes. Like I have to be very careful of that. Winter, like now, humidity in the house is extremely low. If I look at my indication here, 22% is the static electricity here. The static electricity, the humidity. That's so low that just brushing my shirt here like this, I can zap a portable easily. So I'll touch any other metal frame or anything metal before I touch my radios. Jason, VE9JMC, another maritime mobile to listen for is LU8AEU. Sailing ship from Argentina. Had the pleasure of making a contact back in May of last year. I made a contact, SSB voice with that station. When I had the FT450 before I got my FTDX10. George says, was able last Thursday to decode the shortwave radiogram. Was very happy. I'm still learning. Cool. Congratulations. It's always fun. It's always fun to when you start doing things like that. Now I'm sure you're looking forward for the next one because you want to continue trying and playing around with that. Salamino, take care. 73. So as I'm down the chat room here, two things I'm going to talk about. First of all, March the 26th. March the 26th. And I need to just confirm it, but March the 26th. March the 26th. I'm going to do something here. So, okay, March the 26th. I got confirmation. You guys, you remember we did a Zoom with the Shortwave group here on March the 26th. So we're gonna actually do another one. So if you guys want to join in to a Zoom meeting of the official Shortwave channel, March the 26th, we're going to have at 17 hours UTC, that's 1 p.m. Eastern, a Zoom meeting that you can attend. If you want to join, you'll have to just so what we're going to do, we're just going to ask you guys to send ask for, say you want to join the Zoom meeting, so that you actually get by email the Zoom link, that you can join in on March 26th. So it's a Sunday, March the 26th, so 1700 hours Universal Time. I'm just gonna ask something here. So Zoom. Last time, that's what we did last time, right? We did you guys got a link. Those that participated last time, you had a link that you clicked an email, and that's how it worked, right? Um, just gonna ask here because I'm not sure. But anyways, we still have time before the event. Um, so anyways, 1700 hours. Put that on your calendar. We're gonna have a little more detail when I get the details of exactly how we do it. But we'll have a Zoom. So if you guys want to see your face, see others, well, see your face, you see your face in the mirror, but you want to see others, what they look like and who they are, and want to join in, we're going to talk more about it. We'll advertise it a little more. We'll advertise it also on the Shortwave group. We're going to try to have as many people join in as possible. Kind of, have a little round table of radio, say hello to everybody. So we did that last year, and it was kind of fun. And it was an occasion for me to see a lot of you guys. And once again, we're going to do that again because for the Shortwave Festival, the CIDX Club had a extra for the Zoom meeting, so as to have enough space for all the people to join in, and we have it for the full month of March. So we thought that it'd be the time to do one of those Zooms again. So more details coming up, but mark your calendar for Sunday, March 26th, 1700 hours UTC, 1 p.m. Eastern. We're going to actually have a Zoom for the Shortwave, the official Shortwave channel. And hopefully it's going to be, there's going to be a lot of people participating. You don't have to have a camera. If you do not, you can join in without a camera, just a microphone, say hi to everybody. You don't have to have a camera because, or maybe you don't want to use a camera. So that is all right. But that's coming up by the end of the month. So all the details, all the details are gonna happen, and so you guys can ask. Say you're gonna be joining, and so that we have the list. And 24, something like 24 hours before the event, you guys will receive the link, the Zoom link, to join into the event. And hope to see as many of you guys there. It's going to be a lot of fun to meet you and see you guys. So this is going to be fun. So it's going to be like the second Zoom meeting that we've had here on the channel. Keegan DXer, nice to have you here from Northwest Arkansas. Nice to have you on board. Um, no, there's no internal battery, but Krishna Prasad, the battery does maintain the clock for a time because you don't want to have to adjust the clock every time you change the batteries. So there's a capacitor and the radio that has enough power to power the clock for a certain amount of time. So that's why you got to remove the battery and wait until the display goes totally blank before putting the battery back. George, looking forward for the next one. Next goal is to decode weather facts. So that's cool. The easiest one, there's the Boston, Massachusetts weather fact station, which is very strong. It's a pretty good one to try, for sure. What else do we have? What else do we have? Keegan plans to be at the next Zoom and the new game for the Zoom meeting. Church says that sounds great. Going to try to join in. KW1161, Zoom, Zoom, Zoom. Anthony France will try to be at the Zoom. Sounds fun. Francis Moore is in. John Hummel Newell says yes. The link was sent via email. So yeah, that's what they're going to do. So I was going to give you what email to send, where to send your request to be in the Zoom, so that we know in advance who's going to be there. And okay, so the way it's going to work is that the Zoom meeting is going to be set up, and I'll be able to share the Zoom link with you guys, so that you'll have it in order to join in. So that's the way it's going to work. So in the chat room, I'm going to be able to put the Zoom link, and we'll put the Zoom link also in the official Shortwave channel of Facebook, because it's part of this channel here. So anybody that wants to join in, you'll be able to join in. So this is going to be cool. This is going to be cool. So we'll have it on the we'll have the link on the live show here on the chat room, posted regularly until the event, and we'll have the link also posted to the Facebook group, so that you just keep that link handy, and the day of the event you'll be able to join in. So that's how it's going to work. David Ostrowski, was it last March? I thought it was later, like early summer. No, it wasn't in March last year. It was in another time frame. We had it. I don't remember when the last one was, but it wasn't March. But now this time around, we're going to do it on March the 26th. Kevin Upton, nice to have you here from Detroit. Love the Zoom gathering idea. Thanks for providing another space of community building for us radio nerds. Christian Marcoux, salut. J'espère que ça va bien. Nice to have you here from North Bay, Ontario. Keegan DXer says, I remember the late Scott Belcher in Kentucky was in the chat sometimes and in the previous Zoom meeting. So I think it's going to be fun. For the rest, well, what happened this weekend? For those that don't know, there was this weekend was the 36th annual Shortwave Festival, or the Nassau Shortwave Festival, which is an event that had been happening in Pennsylvania, in Plymouth Meeting, Pennsylvania, for many years before something major happened called a pandemic. And then, of course, that changed everything. meant that what do you do? Well, let's strive for a virtual event. And so what happened is that they created a virtual event 3 years ago, and now for the third year in a row, the Shortwave Fest was virtual via the Zoom platform. So it was really a lot of fun. So there was the hospitality suite that was open on Friday night. So we had our first intro into, having a little hello and saying hello to some of the guys. And yesterday, full day of events, presentations, started off at 9:30 a.m. Eastern with the presentation from Jeff White, general manager of WRMI, and it went on all day with different presentations. Skip, that's often here in the chat room, had his presentation on old receivers, good old receivers that you can purchase, and how to purchase them and what to look for. There was presentations. Dan Robinson had one with his radios. There was presentation of Pirate Radio. There was all sorts of interesting stuff in there. The Shortwave Shindig was a mix of all sorts of things. Kind of interesting to see and hear at the same time. I activated, and Mickey Dalmage activated on the west part, the special event station for the event. I activated here in Montreal with many contacts, and I've seen a few videos on the Facebook group of people hearing me even on their little portable, which is really cool. And so my signal seemed to get out pretty well, especially on 12 meters. 12 meters seemed to be the really dub band yesterday, because 12 meters, everywhere that people were contacting me, they were hearing me like 5.9, giving me great reports. It seemed to be the band to choose yesterday. And so it was kind of cool. So we had a lot of stations from Canada, the US, and from Europe that contacted me through the event. Most contacts were done in voice SSB. I did a little bit of FT8, but it was more fun to do on a voice SSB anyways. And of course, there was yesterday the hospitality suite that Sheldon was doing all day, and was great at doing all day. And Mickey Dalmage that helped out. I helped out somewhat a little bit, and activating this just special event and all of that. It's an event that's really cool. I mean, if for $5, I mean the $5 fee is, there's two things, because I did get one email of, well, I don't understand why they have to charge. And my reply back to that was two reasons. It ain't free for them to create. You've got to pay for the Zoom platform, and they have to take a bigger Zoom platform package, because there's a lot of people. There's 263, something like that, at the end registered. So they have to pay for that. The $5 fee also prevents trollers from getting there. Trollers and idiots don't want to pay to troll. They want to troll free stuff. But once you have to pay to get into something, you don't see these idiots anymore. So, all of that together means that it creates a safer environment. And there's a certain side of being an event that where you're, paying a registration fee also means that you're kind of serious in being there. And so $5 is, anyways, such a small amount, and it's totally worth it. All the info you get there, all the people you meet, the faces of some of you that I had not met before, which was nice to see. I mean, it's just great. And I think anybody that is here today that was there yesterday, I'm sure all of you are like, that was so cool. And yes, I'm in next year for the next event. So of course, next year there's going to be another one. There's a lot of discussion yesterday about how to continue in the future, because there's part of the people that are still in the in the mode where they want to be part of something live. And let me just do something here and see. Yeah, WWV coming in on 25 megahertz. So some people still want to have some meeting with people. They want to be there and meet in person. And one of the things that happened with Zoom, I think, is that once you have activated Zoom and gave the opportunity to a lot of people that will never be there in person to join in an event, it created a momentum where you just can't back away from it now. That Zoom event, if there is to be a shortwave festival to a minimum extent, well, the Zoom event is what needs to be created because that's where the majority of people are meeting up. And giving the opportunity, personally, I think giving the opportunity that like we say, a lot of people would never be able to go in person for a multitude of reasons. Means that now that it's created in Zoom, you have to continue, and that was pretty much agreed upon for the continuation for the 37th annual version next year. How is it going to be? Well, Zoom's going to be part of it. That is going to be one thing. We know it's going to be there. It has to be there. For the rest, how is it going to be if there is some in-person event? There's a lot of ideas thrown out, but I don't think we've reached or anybody reached any serious idea of how it should be exactly. And a lot it has to do with the cost. Creating a event in person costs a lot more money. You have um, some room somewhere you have to pay for to for the gathering to happen, and what else, and people have to go pay for maybe an hotel room. All sorts of things like that mean money, and so it's a complex thing. So, anyways, we're gonna see what's gonna happen with the next event. But one thing for sure is that Zoom is gonna be the central part of it again. I can't see it now not having that component. It's impossible. It's impossible. It's now reached a point where Sheldon mentioned it in a way that is totally true. Not only is it that in Zoom we were able, for example, Sheldon was there at almost every event, and he can attest that first of all, using Zoom, he could actually know people better than actually being in person because there was more time and more free time of actually being able to actually meet the people and who they really are in life, and not just a quick hello and a quick, oh well, we do radio, but now really having a moment of gathering where we know each other. And he also mentioned, and once again, and the same for me, and I think everybody there is, we've seen people. I've seen you guys, some of you guys that I see here in a chat room. Chat room is very, there's a component in a chat room that's missing. It's the who are you as a person. We have a general understanding with the comments, but who are you, what you look like, and a Zoom meeting is cool because with the camera, especially, you see the person. You know, you gather there's a body language that goes through camera also, and we make friends, and we've learned more about each other, and Zoom is great. Zoom is great for that. Um, so the Zoom event is something's going to continue in the future. What I'm afraid of, if there would be an in-person event, is the quality of what's going to happen to the Zoom event. Because right now we're focusing the presentations, the stuff happening is happening in a way that we are part of all of it, the interaction with all of it. But if they do a in person, how can you give the Zoom the same feel, the same importance? You need to give a voice to the Zoom guys that want to ask questions after, there's a presentation. So it's a complex thing to deal with, and I get it that some people want to be in person. I totally understand it. And I totally understand, especially with those that have been there for a long time, having a personal approach, seeing your friends is cool. But my personal take on it is more of a, let's not focus. I don't know. Let's not focus. One, I didn't say it yesterday because I didn't want to. I didn't want to start. There was a lot of people raising their hands and giving their opinion. But if I had one thing that I wanted to, if I had one focus to say, is it's all great that you guys want to meet in person again, but I think we have to look that towards the future of what is our hobby and towards the future of technology, which means maybe we should focus on Zoom much more than we focus on let's go back to a live in-person event. My take is that, because I think we reach and have a much more powerful way of reaching everybody through this than a handful of people that are going to meet up with a big bunch of people on Zoom that might feel that they're not getting as much out of it anymore. If you're meeting up with 50 people in person and 175 are registered Zoom, the focus needs to be on the Zoom and the quality of what's happening on Zoom. People are there. That's the people you want to focus on, much more than the people on in person. And I think it's that balance of who's going to be, getting what, and is it going to be the same quality. I think it just means let's focus on the virtual event. If there is something happening, I think the best gatherings that could be, an example of that. Oh, do a gathering in Montreal. Well, you know what? I'll go to Greenfield Park at Sheldon's, and we'll do the Montreal in person event at Sheldon's. A couple of us, but still have all the Zoom, all of that. That would be the thing, Or if in the U.S. some guys want to meet up, well, if they're not too far from each other, or even if they're far and they want to meet up, well, do an event in your home. Get a big screen TV, and that'll be the day for what's happening. But I personally think they should just big focus needs to stay on Zoom. That's the way it is now, and that's the way looking forward, and that's where you're reaching a maximum audience anyways. And yeah, I get it that some of you might want to meet in person again, but you know what, if you want to, then do your thing, meet up with whoever you want, make plans together, and make plans at a friend's house somewhere in the US where you're going to meet up 7, 8, 9, 10 guys. I think that's much more of a thing that would be a possibility of some gathering and meet up with friends than starting to think again about, getting an hotel, getting a room, getting all sorts of things going like that, and leaving behind a Zoom platform that I'm afraid with a personal gathering would remove part of the feel that right now we have in the Zoom, which is great. And that's my take. And it's my personal take on it. And I know that not everybody's on that take of it, because if you've been there for many years, you made friends, you want to see them in person. I totally get that. I get that also that some people like to have in-person gatherings, but we're in Zoom now, and Zoom has brought a lot more people to the fest. And Zoom's the way we need to focus on much more. We got to stop focusing. There's too many people. Actually, there's a handful of people pushing forward for an in-person event, and it's a handful of people compared to everybody else on Zoom. So let the handful of people organize it themselves and do their thing. That's what my take would be. I know that some people are not going to agree with what I'm saying, but that's my take. That's my take. Okay, what else do we have? What else do we have? Let's continue here. Adam says, "Is there a benefit to purchasing an old radio versus new? Not unless you like older radios, the feel, the look they have. You know, it's different. Uh, you know, you can go and play around with a thing like this. Whoops, is it? It's upside down. A thing like this, which are really cool, really fun if they work well and everything, and they're great radios. But there's no the advantage is personal. You like older radios. You like to have older technology and play with that rather than have some modern stuff or an SDR. It's more of a personal thing. There's no advantage, I would say. It's what you feel that you like using when you go on the shortwave bands, much more than anything else. By the way, for those that were in the shortwave festival yesterday, um, it's it's going to be all the presentations are going to be live at some point, and the links are going to be shared. So if you were registered, you will get an email at some point soon with all the presentations that you can go and check and look at them again. TB Ostrowski made a little video of the still shots from last Zoom get together and sent it to you. Not sure that you received it. I don't recall. You'd have to send me that again. What else do we have? DJW83 says the Shortwave Fest was very nice. I liked it. Krishna Prasad says, is it possible to catch American shortwave broadcasts in South Asian countries? India receive only Chinese broadcasts in my region. Yeah, you are. You're in a region that's dominated with Chinese broadcasts, but I see a lot of reports from stations, from some of the U.S. stations reading reports like WWCR, WRMI, and WBCQ reading reports being heard in your area. I think you just have to choose the correct time and frequencies, but you should be able to hear some. Art Don, I say, have you heard Art K2ADC in New Jersey? Danny Shortwave Radio DX. The Shortwave Fest was nice. I will be back next year. Richard Califano, nice to have you on board from Albany, New York. Danny Shortwave says, I like the virtual event. I can't afford to go somewhere for a one-day event. Maybe if it was more than one day, I may attend. So I like the Zoom event. Yeah, that's the other thing that was there, because before it was like a 3-day event. So you'd arrive, you'd stay there a couple of days, and then you come back. Definitely, if it'd be an in-person event, it had to be more than one day, because people won't go for just one day unless they live really close. Richard Califano had a question about a fine-tuning SDR Uno, and Facebook group was great. Kevin Upton, $5 a small price to contribute towards the behind the scenes time and efforts to do the event. Still cheaper than a coffee or an egg right now. So, yep, yep. Ricky, back at your keyboard. Um, what else do we have? What else do we have? Let's check it out. Doug Noble. I once bought an inexpensive clock radio that would pick up distant AM and shortwave signals one night at Radio Belize, and this was in the 80s. Cool. Richard Califano says, when I enter frequency into the memory panel of FSDR Uno and shut down and restart, they're not saved. Should I put them in a folder? I'd have to play with that and check it out. I'll play with that and make a video. I think it's going to be easier to explain. I don't use much of the memories into the SDR, but yeah, I think a video is maybe something that would be worth it. Bob WA2SQQ says also much safer given the COVID element. Yeah, definitely. And there was one aspect of that because a lot of the people there are in the 70s and more, and uh, some of them were worried about having too many people and maybe getting COVID. So definitely that's another element. We're gonna have to live with this thing for forever now, in a way. So, but even though we got to live our lives and continue, still got to be careful in some ways, especially as we get older. Danny Shortwave says, I agree, Jill. That was my first time there, and I believe a lot more will be next year because of this channel and your Facebook group. So, at the we were looking yesterday a little bit at the and talked about the number of people that were there and where they come from, and a lot of people were from Naswa, which is the gang that started or that's maintaining the shortwave event, with Richard and John, especially working hard to maintain and have that happen every year. And there's a lot of people that were from the CIDX club, but there was quite a lot of people that weren't in either of those clubs, which we pretty much think that a lot of them were simply people coming from my shortwave channel because of my advertising in the Facebook group advertising of the event. There was probably a lot of that too, so it's pretty cool. So if I can bring along a lot of people and for those that weren't there, and I think Danny Shortwave is going to agree with that. Those that weren't there, you missed something fun. And via Zoom was a great platform for that. Adish Manar Rankinson, nice to have you here from Trinidad and the Caribbean. Always nice to have you here. As we have, check it out. Oh, I'm checking my email again. So, okay, guys, here we go. I'm going to send you a link, and you can click on that link to register for the Zoom meeting. So let me just go here for a second. I shared the link a few times during the show. I'll share it on the Facebook group also. And here we go. So yeah, I forgot how it was done. It's clicking the link and then you get an email. I don't know why I was thinking about the email thing. I think I'm tired too. I'm actually doing this live show and I'm kind of off a little from, I didn't even finish. I got to do the YouTube version of the International Radar Report, which I'll be doing after this show, uh, and posting it later tonight for everybody. So, here we go. So here's the info. And so here's the, check it out. I'm going to go here. I don't know if I can post all of that at one shot. Yep, here we go. Was that okay? Does it finish with that? Yep. So here, guys, I just posted. You're invited to the official SWL channel Zoom meeting on March the 26th at 1 p.m. Eastern, 17 hours UTC. You must register in advance, and the link that is there will help you register to the event so that you'll be here. Keep the email that you get. Keep the email that you get, because once you register, you're going to get an email, and that will be what you need to know to get in. So March 26th, Sunday, March 26th, 2023, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 1700 hours UTC. Hope to see as many of you there as possible for our live event. Let's continue down here. Yeah, the IBI space is a great resource. It's more difficult to use though, because you got to use your, you got to understand a little bit of the different abbreviations, but pretty cool. Bo Bushar says, I'm worried that the Winterfest workers will burn out. Very few people are ever willing to volunteer. Things could change, and in person might become possible. That is in everything a very difficult task. Getting people in something today is people want, content, want things like this. Very few people are willing to actually do it. If you ask, well, do it. Oh, I would like to have. Well, why don't you do it if you'd like to have? And people are more in the mode of, oh, well, there's all this available. Very few people are in the mode, I will be the guy that's going to continue the tradition of whatever. And that's always the case. And and all of us people have a life. I do this live show. I work a lot on my YouTube videos in a week. I have a lot of things. I'm a caregiver. All of that together, I am compressed in my time. There's a lot of things that I got to do in a week. And I try to do the best for the content and for everything and for the live show. And it's true with everything else. Sheldon has multiple things that he takes care of. Plus, he's got the CIDX bulletin to put together every month. And I write the utility column, and all of that is, there's people behind doing stuff that also have a life. And at some point it's like, sometimes it's more difficult. We had the event information very last minute this year, because the Shortwave Fest guys had a lot in their hands with work and everything. So we have to never forget that there are people behind organizing. It's easy to rant at things, but before ranting, start looking at what it's like to be part of it, do things about it, create all of this. And it's easy. I see a lot of people ranting at all sorts of things like that, and you're like, yeah, sit down and just understand that The majority of everything that we do is free, and you're not paid for it for the most part. And we do it because we love the hobby and we love the people and we want to continue the traditions of stuff. But before ranting, start thinking about, you want to do it. Well, there's our people that are doing things right now in our hobby that if somebody else that would say I will take over and be doing it, I can bet you that they'd be like, here you go, it's all yours now. What else do we have? Ricky can't wait for the recordings of the Shortwave Fest. Missed Jeff White's keynote. Very interesting. Interested to hear what he had to say. RGA Dakota. A lot of times I just have to scour the bands for all kinds of things to see what to find. No, hospitality rooms were not recorded. That only the presentations. Francis Morris says, God, the same show, can't let it go. I see our 8500 still working perfectly. Terry Cook, nice to have you on board. KF7BQ in Western Montana. What is the strongest AM radio station? Ironboard 36 YouTube. There are some. There are some of the the Middle Eastern stations, and there are a couple of Europeans that were like extremely powerful. We've had some medium wave stations and long wave stations that were in the megawatt power. It was pretty crazy. William S., nice to have you here from Lansford, Pennsylvania. Richard Wagner, I totally agree. So many of us are older and travel is not as easy anymore. King DXer agrees. Madrid DXer, nice to have you here. Was listening in the background since the start, doing stuff, but now can join. Cool. Welcome aboard, my friend from the UK. So I'll repost a little later, but if you want to join, we'll have the official SWL channel Zoom meeting coming up March 26th, 2023 at 1 p.m. Eastern, 1700 hours UTC. You have to register in advance with the link. And hey, it's going to be fun to see all of you there, my friends. Lugger and I, wow, sign up was easy. Yeah, it's pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Chris Neil Chan, nice to have you here from Fiji in the South Pacific. Nice to have you on board. Keegan DXer just registered. Francis Moore just registered. KW1161. Brad in Amarillo, nice to have you here. Says he's done. It's done. Jim Gordon, I see that Sony ICF 2001D went for 375 pounds on eBay UK today. It was described as being in a box for 32 years. Is that a good thing? Sets can deteriorate sitting in a box. Electronics can deteriorate over time, definitely, even if it's unused. And so, technically, if it's not been used much, there's shouldn't be a lot of wear and tear. But sitting in a box for 32 years does not mean great working condition, perfect working condition necessarily. There's other things that can happen. The tuning strings, stuff like that, can bend and take a shape that, if you've been 30 years in a certain shape, maybe the tuning strings for the tuning knob and stuff like that can sometimes, take bad bends that make them not work properly. It probably works perfectly for the most part, but it doesn't. It's not a sitting in a box for 32 years does not necessarily mean it's still going to be in perfect working conditions. There are some, especially capacitors, can still degrade over time. Anthony France registered. Hopefully can attend. Cool. Let's see here. Adishman or Rankinson. Nope, not on Discord. And it's just on Facebook. No Discord here. Without a box. Wow. Richard Wagner, all hooked up. Shortwave Radio Archive. Did you hear the Pirates yesterday? Lots of activity. The once a year voice of Pancho Villa was on and will be again at 22 UTC today on 6935 upper sideband. So if you guys want to try that, it's gonna be in what, 15 minutes, 14 minutes from now. So if you guys want to try it, 22 UTC 6935, maybe we could tune in and prepare ourselves. There is an AM signal, not very strong, but it's there. So there's already a pirate there right now. So there's already a pirate there, 6935. So that means that check here if I get it on 6935 better on the SDR. Yeah, definitely a signal there. Still, signal isn't bad, but my noise floor is so high that it's making it difficult to really hear over here. What else do we have? VT Radio registered, but won't be able to join until 4 p.m. Yeah, I don't know how long it's going to last, but we're going to see. Paul Steckler has Richard Cuff. When do you expect to have the? Yeah, they have to just prepare them and make sure that they're all available. So 19 people already on the list. So hey guys, let's join in if you want to join into the Zoom meeting on March 26th. It'll be nice to have all of you there. See you guys. So Danny Shortwave will be there. You can wrote the Zoom on the calendar. KWLN61 Shortwave Archive. Yes. Oh yeah, Antarctica Station was very LRA 36 yesterday was very good here at the moment where the gray line meets pretty much the east northeast the east part of North America and pretty much where LRA 36 Arcangel San Gabriel station is. It was really good yesterday. I was surprised that they have a new and they have a new transmitter, and so their signal seems to be much better since then. So it's pretty cool to hear LRA 36 up to here, and I've been chasing the from the same place. They have a ham station, Lima United 1 Zulu Victor, that is been on the air for the past couple of weeks. I've been chasing them, trying to make contact. I have not been able yet. I hope to have Antarctica on my my ham radio list. Aerial imaging, Sony of that vintage definitely had dried out caps. There's not a 2010 2001D that hasn't needed a recap by now. Those that say otherwise just don't realize that it's not performing like it was. What else do we have? Bob says 6935 is 9 plus 10 in northern New Jersey. Jim Gordon waiting delivery of an unusual radio, Hitachi World Space KKWS1. Has FM, AM, and shortwave. Hitachi used that to make good radios. Oh, there seems to be some slow scan TV on 6935. Slow scan TV. And it stopped. Oh, it's not dead. It's some interference. Oh, it's some weird interference jumping around. Wow, it sounded like slow scan TV here. What else do we have? Aerial imaging, the whole fun of shortwave in the modern era, battling QRM. Yeah, pretty much. Bruce Corbett, N9BH. Nice to have you here. 6950, strong signal playing music. Ironboy 36 says 6935 S5 in Long Island, New York. Ricky, I think finding noise should be a particular focus to keep our hobby and frankly the medium alive. Many people on Earth are city dwellers after all. Yeah, definitely a problem. 32 bits is the info easy to find for next LRA 36 transmissions. What you could do is follow the shortwave listening post, Thomas Witherspoon's website. I can share the what's the link? It's swng.com. So you can yep, you can go here. That is the place where it's almost always http swling.com. That's Thomas Witherspoon's website. He's always having the latest news of what's happening there. So that's where you should go. Oops, wrong. I'm just going to remove that and do it right. HTTPS. Website. Here you go. Here you'll go to the shortwave listening post. Almost all the time it's announced there. But you know what? It's always been on Saturdays lately. So I would bet that every Saturday. And during the day, the weekdays, a lot of people here, they seem to have pretty much regular transmissions to try out. So 15, they have only one frequency to monitor anyways, 15476. 15476 kilohertz in upper sideband. So 6935 in 5 or 6 minutes should be having the Pancho Villa broadcast that was there last night at midnight. So it's pretty cool to have everybody on board. Yeah, next week we're gonna have a show at the standard time for everybody. What you have to remember, anyways, for the show that's gonna happen the week after, because next Saturday we're still gonna be at 20 hours Universal Time, standard for everybody. But next weekend we're changing times or changing clock. So remember that the show will shift by 1 hour local time because we're staying at UTC. That's why if you live in UTC all the time, doesn't matter, you know. Um, Vladislav, nice to have you here from Belgrade, Serbia. Nice to have you on board, my friend. I know that if you want to have a Pancho Villa QSL, if you hear the Pancho Villa broadcast at 2200 hours Universal Time, at the end of the transmission, there is the QSL information, so you'll be able to check that out. Yeah, in Europe, you guys are a week or a couple of weeks later. Definitely. Yeah, Shortwave Listening Post is a great website, as KW1161 says. Great place for information about radios, about all sorts of things. 6935 seems to have dropped off here. So I don't know, maybe it's preparing for some broadcast soon. I do have the Pancho Villa recording to that I can play, but Ricky, I don't think the apparent change won't be till March 18. Next Saturday stream will be before we change clocks. Yeah, it's going to show only the next Saturday. So next Saturday is going to be fine, but the Saturday after is when it's going to show. So next show is still going to stay like everybody's used to, definitely. Shortwave Radio Archive 6935 AM identified as Radio Ice Cream and went off the air. Interesting. So there's a Pyron 6950, and I could see a weak. I see a weak thing here. Yeah, on 6950. I got something that just popped up on 6920. 6920. There's something there. It's funny because on the low frequencies like that, I definitely see that. The MLE30 around 7 megahertz is way better on the MLE30 than it is on my V antenna in the backyard that has too much noise. So I do have a signal here on 6920. And as we reach 2200, I don't see anything on 6935 personally here. So I don't know what. So Bob, 6916660. So I'm just going to check it out here. It is playing music, definitely. And it is definitely. I have it pretty much undone at 6920 here. Or maybe just a little bit below. It's like 6.9. It'd be more like 6919.6 here, something like that. Keegan says he keeps a 24-hour clock set to UTC. Blogger die 6136. It's 6935 Blogger die, not 6135. 6935. Yeah, 6919.6. Yep, Arizona. Like here in Canada is what, Saskatchewan. So 6935 Pancho Villa now. And yes, it is. Yes, it is. In single sideband. 6935 upper sideband, pretty strong here. 6935 upper sideband, pretty strong here. This is how I hear it here. If I can. So that's how I hear a voice of Pancho Villa right now. So that's Pancho Villa being rebroadcast. 6935 kilohertz upper sideband from somewhere in the virtual universe. So decent signal here in Montreal. I got the full recording here of Pancho Villa in high quality. Joey D says, as we all know, noise levels come from devices and Wi-Fi and such. Last Saturday, the power company shut down the neighborhood power off. Turned my grunting on, clear, low noise floor. Definitely, it's crazy how the when the power's out, the low noise, and we hear tons of things. Skipwave DX got it in the Catskill Mountains, 6935. Kiddo Young 61, nothing in Tucson. Mr. Wagner 6950, active music. Anthony France, nothing in Florida. Andrea DX UK 6935, weak signal in the U20 in the Netherlands. Nothing in Northwest Arkansas. Yeah, 6935 is a little rough in the daytime pat up to there. Here it peaks at S9 plus 20 at times. Pretty decent signal. So that was the broadcast that was done last night at midnight. Greg, March 23rd, going to be 60. Time sure flies. I'll be 54 3 days before you, Greg. So RJ Dakota's music on 6950. I see a wee carry on 6950, but not very strong. And I see a carry on 6920 also. Lots of beeping for Pancho Villa to bleep out a lot of naughty words. I wonder why. I wonder why. This is a great example where I see my MLE30 shines compared to my end-fed V in the backyard. On lower frequencies like this, I get way more signal on the MLA30. Hector Vasquez, nothing on the West Coast. Once again, for those that have joined, on March the 26th, we will be having a Zoom meeting for the official Shortwave channel. So if you wish to join in, you got to register in advance. So if you want to join us and see the faces of people that are here all the time, check it out. You can click the link there to register and join us March the 26th at 1 p.m. Eastern, 17 hours UTC, in order to have a lot of fun, see who we are. This is the other cool thing here is to be able to we see it, we have a chat room and everything, but we don't see each other really, so it's kind of fun to put a face on the names that we see here on the chat and so on, or on the Facebook group. So if you want to join in, just register. It's all going to happen Sunday, March 26th at 1 p.m. Eastern, 1700 hours UTC for the official SWL channel Zoom meeting. Ricky, I hopped over to an SDR in Vermont. Is that a pesky on 6957? Doesn't sound like a pirate broadcast to me. 57. I got nothing here, but you can definitely, probably good chances that there are. That band has a lot of that going on. Voice of Panchovia still going very strong. 6935 upper side man. Make sure that your Sheldon, make sure that the USB cable is well, unplug and plug it again. I have the impression that your USB cable, it stops because the USB cable maybe has a problem with the connection. You're often playing with the USB cables when we do the live shows sometimes to have things working. I have the impression that what's happening. I don't think you need to reinstall it. It sounds more like a bad USB connection. Unplug and replug it correctly. Maybe it's just plugging it back and then restarting it. But I think you have a bad connection with the USB there. Because as soon as the USB has anything, it's going to stop, and you won't be able to do anything. You have to stop, close the software. So I'm pretty sure it has to do with something with the USB cable. Tony, nice to have you here from the south coast of Ireland. Nice to have you on board. Great idea about the Zoom meetup. Cool. Hope to see you there. Tony says news from Anna on the PL320. We will have the export version available in April or May. It is a little bit hard too because Texan's factory still has to resume work and determine a production schedule. Arctic Circle, WJHR, Florida 15555. That's nice. Tony can hear 6935 at about his 6. Richard is 6935, no signal, Northeast Illinois. Hector Vasquez just registered. Cool. Anthony can hear Poncho and SDR in Connecticut. Very strong. VT radio, I have a 6935. USB is 9+10 in Vermont. Oh, yeah, because here it's very strong, so it should be strong for you too. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if they do come out with any high-end model. Hector says no Poncho on the West Coast. Tony Magnus says Anna goes on to say also because you never know if it will make it or not from development stage. Yeah. And, it's one of the things you got to understand also is they will base a lot of their production and the idea of maybe making a new radio on how many radios they sell. So, and the market for radios also, where is it shifting? Pretty sure they already know that most of the market for radios today, goes towards probably cheaper radios or inexpensive radios for the most part. So, it all going to be the Texan H501X sales and Texan PL990 sales are probably what are going to have Texan decide if yes or no they do another one. Where does 6935 originate from? We never know. There's a lot of you can sometimes pinpoint their locations by where you hear it. A lot of us in the East are hearing it. In the West, it's not. So, sometimes we can in the Northeast of the U.S., maybe somewhere. Sometimes we have an idea. I think a lot of the pirates actually come from Northeast of the U.S. somewhere. Where exactly? Anybody's guess, because, they're pirates. So they're not going to tell you where they are from in general. But often you can pinpoint. Like last night, we could hear the Punch. I couldn't hear really much. It was very very weak here to Pancho V on 4080, but everybody out west was hearing it really really strong. Kind of tells us that the pirate broadcaster was more into the central or western part of North America. So if money were no object, would you consider an ICOM R8600? When it came out, Paul, I was like, yeah, that'd be cool to try it out. Today, I don't know if I would. So if I had the money to spend as I want on any radio, I'd probably have it for the purpose of testing it and being able to compare properly with all the other radios I got, much more than anything else. I don't feel an attraction towards the ICOM R8600. And if I had one IN radio to buy, it would probably be another transceiver rather than the ICOM R8600. I would probably buy, an ICOM transceiver instead. And one of the things that turns me off of the ICOM radios like that is that they don't want to have other types because it's an SDR. It's a software defined radio in a box. And it has the ability to decode digital modes and stuff like that. But ICOM stays away from a lot of the common modes that are used. That kind of turns me off towards the radio because it's like, yeah, okay, well, you have your proprietary stuff and D star and so on, but it's limited in whatever it can decode and some of those VHF UHF modes. So the appeal for the 8600 isn't that high for me. It really isn't that high. Hiron Boy says he's hearing CHU on 6660, which is the second harmonic of 3330. I've heard people when the signal is very strong at 3330 that sometimes hear that second harmonic from CHU. Who is buying R8600s? Us mainly. You know what might keep ICOM alive with some of these radios? To give you an idea, my ICOM R8500. So it came in two versions. It came in the standard version, which is locked for some of the frequencies because of the US regulations. I have the unlocked version here in Canada, but when you look at their website, the unlocked version was called the government export. And I think what makes the R8600 exist is the possibility that they might have contracts with the US government to supply some of these radios and some of their government facilities where they need radio equipment to listen to different frequencies. So I wouldn't be surprised that why it exists is partly because of that. Like the R8500 actually did. Because for the rest, enthusiasts, the enthusiasts that we are, ham radio operators that might want to have a higher end, a receiver, people like that. But I don't think among the hobbyists, I don't think the RE600's sales are that high. Any Shortwave, bunch of you are broadcasted from Pennsylvania. I recorded most of it. I'm going to send QSL requests. Ricky, I've sometimes heard Pirate Station XFM give out a postal address in California for sending reception reports and whatnot. That said, it might not mean the transmitter is actually there. No, often there are post office boxes and not necessarily in the same state. There used to be there used to be a time when a lot of pirates used the same PO box. You would send every pirate, whatever it was, a lot of them were, you would always send a letter to the same PO box. There's like a centralized place for that. KW61 says pirate stations are unlikely to use the FCC drop box. Ironboard 36 here, 6950 kilohertz. Tony, I see the new XH data D109 on sale for the XH website for $30. Is it even worth that considering it's tuning faults? The tuning faults are fixed. By the way, Tony, they had removed it from sale. They fixed it. It's the ones you see on the XH data website are fixed. So you won't have those problems with it. That said, my initial test is that it overloads very, very easily on a outdoor antenna, which means I would probably stay away from it for that reason. If you use it on telescopic only, it's fine radio. It works decently. Audio is okay. It's a decent audio. But if you're planning on putting an outdoor wire on that thing, expect overload. Voislav says R8500 at personality, 8600 seems overpriced for what it is, especially compared to other stuff available today. Yeah, the 8600 is a computer. It's not complicated. What the 8600 is, and like many, many transceivers are today, it's a computer with a software-defined radio. It's, a software-defined receiver. The only thing they did is they put it in a box with knobs in the front that actually change some of the controls, change some of the stuff. But it's an SDR. It's actually an SDR. So, you pay for the extras of having it in a box and the touchscreen and everything on it. It's nice. I've seen it live because of the CIDX barbecue. Eric Cottrell has one and has been bringing. I saw it, I think, 2 years in a row in action at the CIDX barbecue. It's very nice. But I don't have the appeal to it. Yeah, there used to be a PO box arrangement, Ricky, in the day. Thank you, Francis, for the tip. And yes, I will put it towards I've been thinking a lot about it. Sheldon Harvey says Galapagos Islands on 28709. Let's check it out if I can hear it. 28709. I'm hearing it here. Hotel Delta 8 Mexico. $28,709 upper sideband. You'll hear Galapagos Islands. Yeah, Art definitely was the PO box in Blue Ridge Summit, Pennsylvania back in the day. And a lot of them are all using the same one. Tony says, oh, now that's interesting. $30 is good. But the overload and lack of SSB would be a deal breaker. Yeah, $30 SSB is not something you could see much on the radio usually. The first SSB receivers started about $70 and a little higher. I have an outdoor Wellbrook loop, so the total mismatch with no attenuator on the radio. I wouldn't work. It if there was an attenuator, it could have I could have accepted it, and like, you just put the attenuation on and tune around. But to give you an idea, two nights at the 49-meter band, my big problem here when I plug in like the MLA 30 49-meter band, WWCR and Radio Marti are my killer signals. These two are so strong here that if I have overload on the radio, those two signals are going to be the ones overloading. So I put this on my MLA 30 two times once on the 49-meter band, one on the 41-meter band. On 49, WWCR I could hear it over any other broadcast I wanted to listen to. I tried to listen to Radio Romania, which was unlistenable because I could hear WWCR over it. On 41 meters, it was impossible also because I had Radio Marti over it. So that means with strong signals, and even without, you know what, if you tune around, and as soon as you put an external antenna on it, you could hear the radio is just not um behaving well. There's something that's happening. So no outdoor antennas on that. Blogger Die, I paid $39.31 US for the D109 delivered to US. Of course, since the original one has a fault, it will get two radios. Yep, we'll get another one. Everybody that purchased one will get another one. Hector Vasquez, I have an 8600. Use it to monitor VHF commercial aviation and HF aeronautical. Shortwave radio archive. Almost no pirates use postal QSLs now. Yeah, pretty much EQSLs if they actually give an email, because sometimes they don't. I think the only one who will mail QSLs is Radio Azteca, who verifies reports of relays. It does not transmit or produce programs anymore. So yeah, today the EQSL, and some of them it's the SSTV. There are some of them that don't even give an email. What they'll do is just send out an SSTV with the name of the station, and that's kind of your QSL card. Just decode the slow scan TV picture. Ricky doesn't think he hears Galapagos in Calgary. We'll keep listening. There are other strong signals around there, though. Yeah, because there's the contest still continuing. The ARRL contest is still continuing. Do you guys want to try to hear me? I think I can pull it off now, hopefully, because I did some changes. We'll take the risk. If it stops the broadcast, I'm sorry. But I don't think it will. So if you guys want to try it, I will call CQ a couple of times if you want. We're going to use the band. What band? $24,975, I think, is empty. Let me just check here. I don't have an idea if it is. So you guys want to try it? Just gonna check it out. So if you guys want to tune 24,975. $24,975. And I can call CQ. See if somebody answers back anyways. Calling CQ, 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 12 meters. This is Victor Echo 2, Zulu, Zulu, India. So 24975 upper sideband, guys. Calling CQ, 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 12 meters. Calling CQ, 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 12 meters. This is Victor Echo 2, Zulu, Zulu, India. Calling CQ, CQ, CQ. Calling CQ, CQ, 12 meters. Calling CQ, 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 12 meters. This is a special transmission for my YouTube channel. Calling CQ, this is Victor Echo 2, Zulu, Zulu, India. I heard and station ending in X-ray. Okay, I think it's Mickey, Victor Echo 6. It's very, very weak and very difficult. Mickey, almost don't hear you. It's not like yesterday. Yesterday you were stronger than that. Calling CQ, 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 12 meters. Calling CQ, 12 meters. This is Victor Echo 2, Zulu, Zulu, India. So it's 24975. If anybody hears me, just say you hear me. I don't know if, yeah, well, fast load hears me, but fast load is like, you know. Yeah, conditions are not, it's a little late also. Anyways, it was a try. Just for the fun of it. I also wanted to try to make sure that it fixed the RFI problem when I was transmitting. So the guy answering me back was probably Terry Cook hears me in Montana. So that's pretty cool. Let me do a last call here. Calling CQ, 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 12 meters. Calling CQ, CQ, 12 meters. This is a special CQ for the YouTube channel live. Calling CQ, 12 meters. This is Victor Echo 2, Zulu, Zulu, India. Victor Echo 2, Zulu, Zulu, India. Heard somebody in the background, but I'm not going to answer back. It's just Hector Vasquez. I can hear you call CQ in Los Angeles. So I'm making it to the West Coast. 25,975. No, it's 24,975. Yeah, it seems to go more. It's like yesterday. You know, that's a high frequency. Probably goes more to the West Coast. Absolutely. I'm going more to the west with that frequency. Yeah, but I'm 24,975, so it's all right. Oop. Somebody just closer now. Christian Marcoux, one more time, please. Calling CQ, 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 12 meters. Calling CQ, 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 12 meters. Calling CQ on the 12-meter band for a special YouTube live and trying to see the contacts. Calling CQ, CQ, 12 meters. This is Victor Echo 2, Zulu, Zulu, India. Victor Echo 2, Zulu, Zulu, India. So probably making it to the West Coast. I'd be curious to hear on 20 meters his aerial imaging. Come back to station. Kilo Echo 0 Tango Foxtrot Sierra. You are about a 4 and 6 into Montreal, Quebec. So thank you for the 5-3 in Kansas, and we're doing a little experiment here. I'm live on YouTube, showing a little bit of amateur radio here. So thanks for the contact, and 73. So KE0 TFS from Kentucky, actually. Just worked. I'm just gonna put the details. 24975. I gave him a 4.6. He gave me a 5.3, and time is 22:36 Zulu. I'm gonna have to add that to my log. Hey, Sheila from Belleville, Ontario. Nice to have you here. Hook 911. Nice to have you here. Stronger on cross-country wireless. Getting audio but not able to copy. Shortwave Radio Archive. VE2ZZI. You are S7 in Northern Utah, Kiwi SDR. Pretty good. S7. That's pretty good. Yeah, on the West Coast, it's possible you guys might start hearing some Australians on that band. It's this time where Australia, Japan are coming in. Ken Yu Hong, greetings fans. My MLE 30 Plus arrived, and the best part, it's not potted. Time to upgrade the coax. Exciting. So have fun with that. A spacebar. I got the VR 5000 on, lying in bed, listening to the radio, see what's going on. Cool. Spacebar. Nice to have you here. So my signal definitely going to the West Coast, more on that on the 12-meter band. French Guiana, 21314.5. Let's check it out. He's extremely strong. I'm going to go out a little bit. And if you lose me, guys, I'm going to try him. I'm going to try the French Guiana station. I don't know. That pilot's incredible. Victor Echo 2, Zulu, India. Victor Echo 2, Zulu, India. Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu India. Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu India. Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu India. This is a pilot. Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu India. Victor Echo 2. Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu India. 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 This is a tough pilot. Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu India. Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu India. Man, this is crazy. Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu India. Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu India. Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu India. I love these pilots though. Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu India. There's so many people there. Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu India. Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu India. Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu India. Victor Echo 2. He's got a VA3. Victor Echo 2. He's got the Ontario ones. Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu India. Anyways, he's got a strong signal here. So what else do we have? I don't want to annoy you guys with me doing an hour's time trying a contact, but it proved one thing. I've fixed my problem with RFI that was going into the console. Things are working. What else do we have? Alembic 65, nice to have you here. Yeah, the R9012 doesn't go higher than 21,950. So you can go to 24,975 plus a single sideband. Yeah, French Guiana, Paul Steckler is where there's the space launch, the European space launch place, where they usually send out the Ariane rockets. Um, Spacebar 10 meters excellent this week. Heard VP9IN 10 meters very clear. Is solar flare affecting the radio? Andrew Noble. Well, yes. When there's a solar flare, it affects most of the people that are on the light, the daytime side of the Earth, because often there will be a fade out or a blackout of signals for a short amount of time, and then you will have that will come back to normal. But anything solar activity can affect, and if there's geomagnetic storming going on and stuff. Feslo, don't hear you. Yeah, well, at that frequency, I'm not surprised because it doesn't. You don't need to be very far for the skywave to happen. What else do you have? Yeah, no, with a pilot like that, it's difficult to get through. Yeah, it's possible, or maybe my pattern, or even because I don't have the same. There's slight differences in my my standing wave on different bands. So I don't know. Maybe that could be. Aerial imaging from my location. I hear at least 2 calls at once all the time. I hear 50 calls at the same time. Alexander Eric, nice to have you here. Spacebar. Normally, the issue can be mainly on FT8 because the power is concentrated on the tones. Had the same issue and had to attach 2 common mode chokes on my FT847 and 1000 MP. Robocop, nice to have you here. KW1161, just barely hearing among the pileup. I don't need more power. 100 watts is, it's fine. Anyways, the biggest problem I have here is mostly the receive. I'll often have the stations and the noise, and that's much more of a problem for me than what the transmission. Take care, Mad Radio DXer. There's a Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu. Victor Echo 3 Zulu Zulu. That guy has a call close to mine. Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu India. He's much weaker than he was earlier, though. He's about half the strength that he was. Nothing like having people whistle. It's just, it's just crazy. Yeah, that's actually when you have that, it's not solar flare problem, spacebar. If you hear something that sounds like garbling water or any signal that's very wobbly, that has much more to do with auroral conditions. So we might be in a active to minor geomagnetic storm, and that will actually mess up the signals, especially the ones that pass close to the poles. Yeah, just make sure, Greg, that if you buy a CB, that there are people around you, because buying a CB radio, bands are very quiet in many parts now. You might not be able to talk too much. Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu India. Victor Echo 2. Victor Echo 2 Zulu Zulu India. He was about S9 when I tried earlier, and now he's barely going higher than S4 S5 actually. So I don't think it's going to be a thing. What else do we have? Aerial imaging. I still dabbled in CB. I'll say hi on 12 watts SSB. Spacebar. I checked it with my TS430. Was the same thing. So big sigh of relief. Just aurora at lower latitude. Yep. Yeah. Take care, Bob. Always nice to have you on board. We'll be back at Saturday next week. Yeah, some are. The tone is the. Some people are actually dumb when they tune. They tune right on the frequency of the contact. It's like I always find that really dumb. I tuned, but I tuned 5 kilohertz away and came back. So he's got a decent signal. Actually, this is the time until 23:59 UT. Until 23:59 UT. You can hear a lot of stations for the ARRL contacts. Fastload says, yeah, that's what I did for tuning also. Yeah, you go 5 kilohertz away, you tune, come back. I'm tired of, there's a difference between I didn't think about it for some reason, but I try to always do it. But there's some guys that just, who cares? Let's tune on the frequency. I don't care about anybody at making contacts. I'm the king of the airwaves. I mean, Fastload and me were listening to the pilot for Bouvet Island, and we were just appalled at the crappiness of the amateur radio community on those frequencies when it happened. It's like, God, there are too many hams that should have their ham, not just the ham license, even their equipment removed to make sure they don't come back and bother us. Robocop, new to the hobby and so far loving it, but quite a bit to learn. Thankful for people like yourself. Yeah, we're here for that. It is it is something to learn all the, to listen to all of that and getting in the hang of, listening to some signals and then, going into single sideband and stuff like that. Definitely is something that, you it takes time. There's a learning curve, but we're here for that and, answer questions and so on. So it's kind of cool. So this is a place, and there's a Facebook group also for that. If you go to the Facebook group, which has the same name as the YouTube channel, official SWL channel, lots of people there asking questions and trying to get the hang of the hobby, basically. Spacebar says, if you saw any pileups for Bouvet Island expedition, that's what they do with special events, call signs, or contests. Keying up, whistling, put some abuse on the cluster. So annoying. Yeah. Mike Thornton, nice to have you here from Arizona, WC0L/7. He's got a United November 2 station, which is, what is it? Ukraine? I think it's Ukraine. So nice to see French Guiana. I think I already have French Guiana on my log though, so it's something that I already have. Frank V says no luck trying that Morse code app. Can't read translation. Every other word makes no sense. What can I do? It's extremely important because the any apps that use Morse code decoding has to have, first of all, you need to have a signal that's strong enough so that you don't have too much noise. If you have a radio that has AGC, automatic gain control, put it in slow mo to make sure that the slope goes down very slowly, so that in between the dash and the dits and the DAWs, you'll have not too much noise. Then you will have another one, which is um, you'll have to be careful to make sure that the speed matches. If you don't have a matching speed, you'll never get a decode of Morse code. So that's very, very important. So most of these apps have auto speed. Um, you'll have the best way to try it and train it is with the W1AW Morse training that they do. When you actually use that is such a standard precise speed because it's sent by a computer. Start by trying to decode that. But human sent Morse code is difficult because it varies in speed all the time. So it's you gotta, and not all apps are equal. Some are better than others. Ricky, been working on an experiment while this has been going on, trying to make a large passive loop out of speaker wire that's the same dimensions as my patio slider. We'll see how that turns out. That's the fun of radio. That's the fun of radio. Spacebar, you are, I think, is Ukraine, UA. So, yeah, Ukraine. So great to see them being able. Yeah, I got about a dozen Ukraine stations on my log. Shortwave apps you recommend on Apple and Android. On Android, for the schedules, you have Skywave schedules, Skywave schedules, and you have all the apps for decoding the different modes, also like Droid Navtex for Navtex and stuff like that. There's apps for RTTY, but for shortwave schedules, just the shortwave schedules. Skywave schedule is good in Android. On the iPhone and iPads, on anything Apple, it's most of the good apps are made by Black Cat Systems. If you look at Black Cat Systems, you'll see them there. A lot of the apps are not free, and some of them are a little steep in price, I find, for an app. But if you want to have different apps, the Skyway schedule, by the way, is free, and there's you can have all the schedules for the stations. You can even click on the stations and have it go to the QESDR that you might be hearing it, and so on. It's a very, very well done app. Just have to make sure that it's updated every time you use it, so that you have the latest schedules in it. But these are some of the apps that are interesting to use. W5BL, would you say your focus is more on shortwave listening or transmitting? I'm a big listener, so I would say that I do a lot of listening, but I love, I love using my ham gear and transmitting. So I've been doing a lot more ham radio stuff. Of course, that means it takes you away a little bit from the shortwave stuff. But I still listen a lot. Just listening is still a big part of it all. Well, I usually go to the Kiwi SDR stuff, shortwave radio encounters. But I think both bring us to the same place at some point. Cool, Greg. We're here for that. Lucas, nice to have you here. Has anybody tried the new XH Data D219? Yeah, I've seen some people say that it's surprisingly decent for the price. I would have to look at that. I don't know if it's there. I'm just gonna check for something here. I don't think it is. Yeah, it's too early. Go on the website the for Morse code decoding. Go on the W1AW. Search for W1AW Morse code and W1AW Morse code training, and you'll have their schedules with the frequencies they use every day. That is the easiest to decode because they actually tell you the speeds they're using also as they're sending. And when they shift speed in the Morse code to decode, you'll see they're going to tell you now moving to 15 words per minute, for example. And start playing with that with your app. And once you get good decodes of that, then go to the ham side and try to have the codes. There is one thing I hate about my FTDX10, and I don't understand why they have not implemented that. Is the CW Morse code decoding does not have auto detect speed. You have to guess what speed it is, and that, I'm sorry, but you know what? Yeah, you can be off only by 3 or 4, but it's enough, you know. What's on 6754? It's Trenton, Canada military. It's a Trenton, Ontario, Canada. Canadian military weather. I don't know if I hear it here. 6754. Not making it here, but you might be hearing it. It's Trenton, Ontario, Canada. It's military weather. Hey, cool, Krishna Prasad. Your radio's up and running again. Remember that trick for every single radio you own. It's a trick that works for pretty much most portables. Here, I've never heard the Japanese slot machine on the East Coast. Oh, if you have Stanek, then you have something else. But 6754 usually is voice broadcast of. Because here I don't have anything. Usually 6754 is Canada. It's Canada weather. Belle soirée, Christian Marcoux. Fais attention à toi. La prochaine. Nice to have you here as usual. So it's nice to have all of you. Hey, to win 1960. Nice to have you here. Once again, we're going to talk about March 26th one last time. If you want to join the Zoom for the official SWL channel, Sunday, March 26th at 1 p.m. Eastern. That's 1700 hours Universal Time. We will have a official SWL Zoom encounter. If you want to see what people look like, if you're curious to see who's who, what's the face behind the name in the chat or the Facebook group, we will have a Zoom on that day. So once again, So once again, here's the details for all of that. If you like to join, click the link for the registering. Once you click the link, you'll have registered and have all the info. Keep the email, and you'll be able to get us and talk with us, and share a little moment together. So why not join and be here? So we'll be having a lot of fun on that Sunday with the Zoom meeting. For those that don't have the Zoom platform, it's easy to install on any device. And if you don't want to show your face, you don't be afraid. You can still come over and just use a microphone. We don't have to absolutely see your face. You can say hi. Just and check it out. Sheila, yeah, well, usually that's what's happening with shortwave signals. When you're too close to the transmitter, you're outside of the skip zone. Anonymous, nice to have you here from Germany. Good night, Francis. Thank you once again for the tip. And I'm going to say good night also. I am tired of the Shortwave Festival, and I'm actually surprised that I did 3 hours today and that it went so fast. So we're going to be back next Saturday at the normal 2000 hours UTC live show. So hope that everybody enjoyed the show today. And of course, once again, I'll post a link to the to the Zoom meeting in the Facebook group also. So thanks everybody. It was nice to see everybody yesterday that joined the Shortwave Festival. It was a really cool day, and definitely a lot of fun. It's nice to see that everybody looking forward for next year also. So pretty cool. Thanks everybody. Stay safe, and see you Saturday, 2000 hours Universal Time. Take care, my friend.